Right then. Okay, hi, I'm Les Cubes, and I'm here with NCWG4.
Hello.
Say hello. Um, NCW's massive sports car fan, probably biggest one in the world. Just saying, it's
Probably.
fine. Uh, and we thought it would be interesting to do a bit of a preview show for the 24 Hours of Daytona, the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. And we're just using Assetto Corsa here as kind of a background thing. Um, so this year's 24, uh, big entry field, um, lots of prototypes, a little bit less on the GT cars in both classes this year.
Yeah.
Uh, Tons of hype surrounding it. More international
You-
drivers than we've seen in forever. So let's go on and let's start talking about GTD.
Very beginning. So yeah, admittedly, my knowledge of GT3 in general as a whole scene is probably less than yours, surprisingly. But yeah, I don't know the GTD field for this year.
GTD seems it's kind of strange to me because if you watch Global GT3, you watch Blanc Plane, the various series of that. What happens there doesn't necessarily seem to be an allegory for what happens in the United States in
Yeah,
the GTD class. Like, globally the Mercs are dominant, and that's not the case here. It hasn't been the case here. Um,
yeah. There is a point with the Mercs though, is that if you, I think it's more to do with the Merc teams than the Merc car when it comes to IMSA,
mm-hmm.
because you know, one of the representatives of Merck in IMSA is Kenya Bull. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Whereas what we saw last year, when they put the likes of a properly crewed car like Van Gisbergen, put him in the car, it was the fastest GTD in IMSA, clearly.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think it's more of a team issue, but fortunately, IMSA, I think, have the balancing pretty good in general.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't explain that Merck's lack of popularity. Like, well, we've only three of them in the field, I think.
Yeah, they
With
have a
maybe
very
Ronald
good
Riley.
they have a very good factory program, so you would assume more people would have picked it up.
Yeah, that is a surprising thing. So that we don't have the quality entries that, say, the other cars have, like the Lambos and the Audis, who always bring
Mm-hmm.
strong crews and strong teams.
Although there's only one Lambo team this year.
Yeah, it's a good one, though.
It'll be very, very fast right before it explodes.
Yes.
So, in general, GTD is a smaller field, but it's a very strong field. You've got uh, you've got Michael Shank Racing and their NSXs. Those are coming online. Those are probably going to be very fast cars. 3GT is well sorted with their Lexus. Uh,
Yeah, I think 3DG in particular have a very strong 15 crew this year.
uh,
So,
Most importantly, no Sage Karam there to start problems, and really all the 3GT people need to worry about this year is whether or not Paul Gentilozzi pays them.
yeah, that's just a slight issue.
um, Wright is back, Magnus is back, Turner is back running an MS6, but not the good one.
Yes. So the story with the M6 is that everyone knows that the M6 has just been a general shit show of a car. Just
Mm-hmm.
been awful in all versions.
To be
So
fair, the RLL cars did come on pretty strong in GTE at the end of last year, but only
yes,
just.
yeah, only just, and it was RL who's effectively a factory team.
Right.
So yeah, so the story is they bring a new GTE car, which are going to run the World Championship, which is cool. But they're also going to bring an updated car to GT3 racing in general. Except BMW forgot they run a GTD program, so
Mm-hmm.
Turner don't have the new car. To be honest, I'm not sure if Turner would buy the new car anyway for a
Right.
while. You know, money and all that. So yeah, so they're kind of screwed even if they actually have decent drivers.
Mm-hmm.
And the only BMW in the field.
Yeah, and a couple other cars are missing from GTD. Aston's no longer participating. I assume that'll probably change back in the future with the new car. Like I said, less Lamborghinis. Right. If they do that, you would assume they would, because it is a very popular class.
Yeah. Aston Martin sort of neglect of GT3 is sort of an odd thing, I find. It's like they don't really push it hard anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They've only like one real factory-backed team, and then a handful of other cars in private hands.
Yeah. A lot of
So
older cars, too.
Yeah, which is again an Aston Martin thing. They don't, they're like the exact opposite of the German marques who bring out a new car every 2 years. Aston bring out one every decade.
I mean, you would think when you're doing the customer racing thing, you'd want to introduce new cars at least on a fairly regular basis because you need to sell more of them. But I digress.
Aston are strange when it comes to their GT program, so we don't have one of those. I think they're last known for for having Sergio Perez's brother driving one of their cars.
Yeah.
So, which that effort actually went pretty well. Unfortunately, that team has disappeared off the face of IMSA's earth. I think they went to Pirelli World Challenge, like most teams.
Yeah.
That have disappeared from IMSA. But yeah, but then we have the exact opposite happening as we've Wright and Magnus coming back from the Pirelli World Challenge to GTD. For Daytona, at least, in the Wright's a full season effort.
I know.
Magnus down for the full season?
I don't know. I know Magnus had issues with IMSA last year. Or was it the year before?
Issues with whoever they're sanctioned by, frankly.
But they will be a fast Audi team anyways.
Yeah.
The, oh gosh. I didn't have my notes sorted out enough. Christina Nielsen lost her job with Ferrari and gained a job in the Porsche. That's right? That's running that Porsche?
Yeah, that's the right car that's come over. They've got the Nielsen and Long are sort of the two star drivers. There's something else good as well. But I've completely lost the entry list because professionalism.
But basically GT3 class or GTD class, I'm sorry. Pretty much anybody's game. If you look at the timing charts, they're all pretty darn close, as you'd expect from that class. And there's so many good teams out there, it's hard to say. Prediction-wise, for GTD, what do you think? For Daytona, not the season.
Yes, so for Daytona, anything VAG powered always goes well, but they don't seem to have the luck.
Right.
Magnus always run well here, but no, I'm not feeling it this year for them to take the win. I think Shank are eternally cursed, even though that car should be good.
Right.
So I'm going to go with the 15 Lexus.
That seems like a good choice.
Yeah, because, as you say, they have no cram to kill everyone on the track or dump it in the wall or do something stupid. And I think 15 is their strongest driver lineup, so I think they're going to take it.
I am thinking that the Michael Shank number 86 NSX is going to be the winner in class. The NSXs were really coming on strong last year. They had some bad luck, but they seem to be pretty well sorted out by the end of the year. The car, at least, pretty strong driver crew there. So I think the 86 is probably a good bet. But again, GTD, it could be anybody except for that Sun Energy, bright purple abortion of a car.
That's not the one that's gone out of the Chupacabra. That's the 71 car that's done it this year.
Oh god, I forgot about the Chupacabra car. That thing's amazing. I wish I had a picture up for you.
That is that is glorious. There'll be many pictures taken
It's
of that.
really
I can
good.
show you. Yeah, they probably don't have a chance, but you know, interesting. I mentioned Perry's brother actually earlier. He's come back to GTD in that car. So there we go. Also,
There
I
we
found
go.
an entry list, so we've
Ah,
actual
excellent.
information now.
Pro. All right, let's talk
Yay.
about GTLM. Besides being the best class,
Which it is. There'll be no arguments about this.
so we've got 9 cars this year, down from 11. We've got the 2 Corvettes, the 2 Fords, the 2 Porsches,
And one Ferrari.
1 Ferrari, and then RL are bringing the new M8 GTE car. We don't know much about that yet. It's early season, it's a new car, it's probably not going to be great to start with, but that's just a guess.
The simple facts are it hasn't been great to start with. I know you
So
can't
far,
take
yep.
much from the Roar because, you know, most of the sessions are just sandbagging. But the interesting thing about the Roar this year was the qualifying session for pit road positions, which is inherently a stupid thing. But the thing is that teams actually seem to take it seriously. So we actually got something competitive at the Roar instead of just the usual sandbagging shit show. So yeah, but when it came to that, they weren't great, and they didn't really show much. And I know RL don't seem to be a team that would tend to sandbag for the hell of it. They're not
No.
Penske.
And when you're developing a car, you really can't unless you're super confident in it. Unless you're Ford,
Penske.
you know, or Penske.
Yeah.
Timing-wise, Ford, Corvette, Porsche were all really close. They're all in the 147s, like within 9/10.
Yeah.
So that's
There's
pretty good.
Not in between. The other thing was that Ford were consistently the fastest, which is interesting because, you know,
Traditionally, they sandbag, yeah.
yeah, that's very on Ford like. So I don't know if they've been outside and bagged or they were actually trying. They're probably just outside and bagged, to be honest. But the noble thing is that we're down to 9 cars because Ford have not brought the European cars this year.
Yes.
They've actually just brought 2. Which, while, yeah, we've lost cars from the class, but I think that's for the better of the class. Because it's a fair fight between Corvette, BMW, Ford, and Porsche.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think the 2 car pairings is generally good. It'd be nice to see another Ferrari in there. It'd be nice to see Reese have enough money to run 2 cars. It's kind of ridiculous that such a good squad is not getting the help they need to run, you know, a really full program.
Yeah, it's just the general status quo Ferrari. It's like they don't run any factory GT teams. They'll run heavily supported GT teams, such as they do for the WEC with AF Corsa,
Right.
and AF Corsa in GTD as well. Or, you know, they're as good as a factory team, but they've done all the loopholes to get away with it.
Yeah.
Whereas Reezy don't get that. Reezy is a proper privateer team. But then you look at their drivers and it's like, hold on now, this is actually a serious effort. They got Collado, Peregridi, Regan, Vielander, that they're pro factory Ferrari drivers. This is a serious effort.
Yeah, if
and
they had
team.
If they had the money, they would be serious contenders all year long. They do not.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate. That being said, you can't ignore them. You just can't.
No, you can't. I think they'll sneak a win in somewhere during the season. Daytona, I don't think so. But who knows? Probably the last year for my favorite car, the C7R. I'm betting anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, the rumors are the strongest, even though that car's death has been predicted for nearly a decade, which is funny for a car that's not even a decade old.
True. I mean, the writing's been on the wall for a long time that the mid-engine car is going to be the way to go. And, certainly what happened with Porsche, where they were allowed to build basically a mid-engine prototype and run it in GTE. I mean, I think everyone's going to have to go that if they're serious about it. And I think Chevrolet is serious about racing that class.
They're serious about IMSA, at least.
Right.
I would like them to be more serious about it on a global stage, but we just got to deal with what we have. At least they take IMSA seriously.
Yeah.
And they take it really seriously.
It's kind of strange that they have such a hardcore GTE program for IMSA, and that they don't take that to Europe and run the WEC, because they would be serious contenders if they did, but they choose not to.
Oh yeah, like I love the WEC. I love the World Championship, but this is the strongest GTE field in the world.
Indeed.
Like, if you took these teams, the WEC, they'd kick everyone's asses.
And that's just a testament to their professionalism. But the US program would probably suffer if they did that too.
Definitely. And like, I'm talking in general. If, say, you took the forwards of the Porsches and took them to Europe and compete against their European counterparts, my money is on them to win out.
Yeah, I could see that.
It generally sums up this class. There's only 9 cars. There's it's the smallest class of the 3 classes we have, but the quality, outstrips the quantity. We don't need 20 cars in this class. You got 9, and they're probably going to do more racing than the other 2 classes combined. So,
Indeed,
you don't need 2 cars for a race.
So predictions. I don't think we got too much. Yeah, one of the Corvettes.
But I don't know which one. Either the Corvettes or the Fords. Not sure about the Porsches, and if Reezy get a podium, that'll be a good day.
That would be cool. BMW probably doesn't have it in them. Any of the other cars are so close that any of them could win. My prediction is that one of the Corvettes will nip out a victory after kind of trailing all race because one of the other cars has an issue. That'd be a very Corvette way to win.
A very Corvette way to win, and a very GTLM way to have a race.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It just is. It just has been the GTLM race for the last few seasons. It's nearly comical at this point that they'll have a stupidly intense start to the race. They'll die out. A car will get the lead. It'll stay in the lead and do whatever for 20 hours, and then the last half an hour, everyone loses their shit and it's 5 wide for the win.
Yeah. And also a testament to what endurance racing is today is the cars, and this is talking everything, are so damn good and so reliable that they can run hard a whole 24 hours and really, really compete at the end of the race still. That's a general thing. It's not new for this year, but it is quite incredible.
Yeah, and the interesting thing from the Roar is that going through all my notes from the Roar, I think only 3 cars actually had technical issues on track.
It's pretty good. That's a good sign.
Yeah, for a bloody pre-season test.
Especially when you've got new cars,
Yeah. Which is the nice thing about GTLM as well, is that, provided the BMWs prove themselves to be reliable, all these cars are proven reliable cars. So they can push themselves for the whole 24 hours. Without blowing up, hopefully.
It should be a good show.
Yeah. It's good. So yeah, I'm just thinking Ford Corvette it's gonna be between either of those for the win.
Yeah, the Porsches seem to have trailed just a little bit still, and it doesn't really compute. It seems like it shouldn't be that, but
yeah, it aside from the BMW, it's the newest car. And but it hadn't really had that impressive debut season. It's not like the 488 or the 4GT when they came in the year before.
Yeah,
who just instantly dominated everyone. Obviously helped by new regulations. Everyone's starting from scratch essentially, and they got the right formula. But yeah, Porsche coming in late with just an odd car. Like, it doesn't fit the formula. Yes, they made a mid-engine to fit with the current regulations, but it's not turboed. It's flat six. It's going to be the same old weirdness.
It's still a Porsche.
Yeah.
I mean, but I really do like that car.
Oh yes.
But whether or not it'll be a serious competitor, hard to say. I mean, it'll be a serious competitor, but will it be a winner? So
I can't say it's going to be a winner, but it's going to be there and it's going to cause trouble.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's going to be close. Also, worth noting that Nick Tandy and Obama are back from the factory prototype program. So you can't count them out.
That'll be a big boost. I hadn't counted on that. I wasn't thinking about that. So, anyways, I think that kind of wraps up GTE. Now for the big show, prototype.
Holy shit!
Holy shitting dick nipples! What a huge field. 21 cars in prototype. Need to take this short break to say Prototype Challenge is now dead. Those Lolas will never be a blight on our racetracks again, at least for IMSA.
I'm very glad, because they're Orcas.
Orcas, rather. I'm sorry.
Hell, if we still have the Lolas running around, Christ.
Have they been out of business for 8 years?
Even if the Mazdas kept them running till 14, whatever. And the Bikos is still a Lola underneath in the World Series, but that's the World Championship. That's a rabble for about 6 months' time.
How could they still have chassis left? They've all caught fire at least once.
I think that explains the performance. It's the same chassis that's been burnt multiple times.
Alright, so, Prototype. Big changes. Penske's here with their Acura. Everyone else is here with Oricas and Ligiers.
Yep, no Delaras, not counting the Cadillac.
No Delaras except for the Cadillac.
One Riley that surely they must have gotten that car of a bargain bin or something. Why the fuck are they running that Riley?
I don't know. I mean, it was such a bad car. Speaking of former Riley victims, Spirit of Daytona is back in the Cadillac. And Cadillac is got to be the obvious favorite. They have been nerfed. They've de-stroked their 6.2 liter engine to a 5.5. I believe it's roughly the same spec as the GTE car.
Yeah.
Does it matter though?
It's just a de-stroked engine, and so their logic. I get a feeling this is sort of a thing that came from both sides. It was like at the end of last season, Cadillac just went, "Look, you're nerfing us so hard. We just put a smaller engine in it."
Mm-hmm.
Then so went, "Cool." They would much prefer them to run a smaller engine,
and it is
easier.
It is worth noting that since the Roar, BOP adjustments have come down, and they did indeed nerf the nerf the Caddy engine again.
Again.
I don't. Yeah. I don't think the displacement loss is going to be an issue.
No.
I don't think it's really a benefit either. It's still going to be a very powerful, very reliable engine. They're only asking 580 horsepower out of it, which is not a lot, honestly, even from a naturally aspirated engine at this point in time.
No, because for an engine of that size, like, it's putting out less power than the Gibsons, which are only 4.2 liters.
And also naturally aspirated.
Yes. So it should be stupidly reliable. Interestingly, also with the BOP adjustments, they've given the Cadillacs more fuel, which I find interesting, considering that it was one of the more efficient prototypes last season.
That might be interesting. Like, one thing you might expect is to make the same power, and I'm just spitballing here, so don't read too far into it. To make the same power with the 5.5, you're going to have to turn more revs, probably shift it further up in the rev range. That might be less efficient than the 6.2.
Yeah, but not a whole lot. They've only IMSA only gave him an extra liter. You
Right.
can't say it's oh, it's suddenly stupidly inefficient. No, it's not. It's just a
No.
tiny little adjustment that may have been due from last season, and after the roar they went, oh look, we're right about that, let's just put it in here. In general, there hasn't been actually any major BOP changes throughout the field. They've been sort of minor little things here and there. Interestingly, the Mazdas have had weight taken off them. They're now the lightest prototype in the field, and instantly had some boost taken off them.
They had boost taken off. Didn't they have some revs added too?
Possibly.
Believe I
I
read.
think this is sort of the first time I've really seen IMSA really deal with the revs. They've always limited boost per rev, but I've never really seen them restrict or put a rev limit on a car. So that's sort of a new thing for all the prototypes.
All right, so your prototype notes are pretty damn good. So let's go through them.
Yeah, so sort of going in the order of competitiveness.
Yes.
Well, it's sort of grouped in order of competitiveness. The actual individual order isn't. So we've our first group. Those cars that have no chance of winning. They have no chance of winning. They have no chance of being within the first 10 laps of the winner. If they finish, it's going to be a good run. And those are Bar 1, who, as we mentioned, are the only team running the Riley. A new teamed prototype. I believe they were running the full season. So, but yeah, it's your sort of standard privateer prototype.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put in 10 drivers who are paying $50 each to drive.
Shit,
and away we go. Yeah, even if it is a Riley, fuck it, who cares? But yeah, car is uncompetitive, new team. You can't expect much from them. Also on the list I put down is the DC3 Transformers team, which was announced a few months ago. And the reason they're not going to win this race is pretty simple, because they haven't shown up. Allegedly, they're going to show up in Sebring, but that program looks sketchy from the start. They weren't at the road. They haven't been done any preseason testing. Allegedly, they bought a Ligier or something like that. But yeah, if they show up at any point during the season, it will be impressive.
So we will know it when it happens, anyways.
Yeah.
Moving on to kind of the middle of the road guys. Go ahead and take it.
Yes. So So in general, this field is very competitive. So it's all hard to split them up. So these are the teams that are going to have a decent run. They may get to the front at some point in the race. Knowing my standard of predictions, they may even win the race. But don't hold any hope that they actually will win or get anywhere close to that. So here we got the likes of, say, the new teams that have stepped up from PC, such as Performance Tech and Core. The Core running Orca and as our Performance Tech, which is a huge advantage for them. Orca is the LMP2 car to have.
Indeed.
This season and last season, it just dominated LMP2. So if you're going to get an LMP2 car, it's the one to have. Notable thing about Core is simply their lineup. Like, what the hell? They have 2 former LMP1 drivers in their lineup for what's supposed to be, a little privateer team that has come from GTD and PC. It's like, how are they affording this?
Who are paying these guys, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, they have Roman Dumas and Loic Duval in their lineup.
Doesn't get a lot better than that.
Yeah. So, that's mainly what they're riding on. They're riding on a good car, competent team, and those 2 drivers. That's going to get them places.
It's a good bet.
Yeah.
And also interesting, the jump from GTD, whatever, PC, definitely whatever. That's a huge jump for that crew. Are the support pieces in place to make that work, I think would be my question. Will the pit stops hold up? Will the mechanical stuff hold up? Not the car, granted, but just the, how everyone works on it and all that.
Yeah, especially in a class as competitive as this, what you have on your engineering side is going to make all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a general question for like the likes of them and Performance Tech, and Bar One, the new teams coming in. You can't expect too much from them, but on paper they shouldn't be too bad. They should be respectable and competent.
Mm-hmm.
We also have PR1 coming back with their Ligier. They've gotten themselves a new sponsor, so at least they got money at least. And
dollars always help the cause.
Yeah, they have Sebastian Vettel and Gozavi Akman in that car as well.
That's good drivers there.
Yep, as long as they keep it on the road and don't do anything stupid, you should be pretty confident. And this team had a good few runs last year, which I think their previous experience will give them an edge, over the newcomers in this class. So they should definitely be expecting to do well, finish solid midfield.
And that's the thing, doing well in this race with 21 prototype cars. Doing well isn't enough. You got to be exceptional for this one and lucky.
Yeah.
Speaking of luck, Mazda.
Oh yeah.
They've gone away from their long-time factory team Speed Source. That operation is now shuttered, so press F to pay respects. And the all-conquering Yost squad has come over from being dumped by Audi to run the Mazda factory team. And the question is, will that be enough? Those cars were beautiful and very prone to catching fire. And that's about their season last year.
Yeah, they did the exact opposite to all the other DPI cars and new cars that came out last season. The other cars, the Cadillacs dominated instantly, the Nissan came up to speed, the LMP2s stopped shitting themselves and were good.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Mazda just did nothing last year. So yeah, this is big. This is the big news from the off season. It's just been sort of the whole switcheroo with that whole program. They've dumped Speed Source. They've brought in a whole new engineering team with Youst. There is practically nothing left of the old team.
Mm-hmm.
Chassis numbers, essentially.
But it is the same chassis, is it not?
It is, though heavily updated. They've made no secret that they've ripped out half the car and put it back together again. They've essentially Mazda have just thrown Riley under the bus and went, look, you built a shit car, so we're going to give it to Youst, we're going to give it to Multimatic, and they're going to come back with a better package. In the global scene, Multimatic have actually taken over Riley's program completely, LMP2 cars, in an attempt to make that car somewhat competitive. It will be too late for the 24 to see if that happens for Bar 1, which is why they're fucked.
Right.
Though Mazda will have the updates for the Mazda DPI, which have been pretty comprehensive. So, and they didn't blow up at the roar, so
it's always a good start. Granted, it's not the same thing, so
exactly, it's not the same thing. But knowing Mazda, the fact that it didn't blow up at the roar is a bloody achievement. Now, whether they will hold together and survive to the night in Daytona is, I don't know. Youst should win this race, but I feel that they start with a hand behind their back, starting from that Mazda. Yeah,
I think the measure, and I'm going to talk about the season for just a brief second. The measure of Youst's success this year will be how far they bring that Mazda team up. Not necessarily like race wins or even competing in the championship, but are they there consistently instead of having constant retirements? Maybe I'm underselling it. Maybe they're going to show up and they're going to have their everything together, and then the updates are going to be the thing. So,
Yeah,
Uh, go ahead.
yeah, because it should be the thing. Like, Youst are without doubt one of the greatest prototype teams of the modern era. So surely, if someone's going to drag this team to a competitive setup, it's going to be them. Look, there's still the outside hope they could win this damn race, but they have to show something when it comes to qualifying.
Hmm.
That'll be the measure. Because if they can't pull it out of the bag in qualifying, yeah, they would have been able to get away with it previous years, but this field is too strong for just kind of being there.
Yeah, no, you
They
gotta
have to
show
have
up.
the pace.
And the last of the what we would consider mid-pack cars is the number 99 JDC. Are they both terribly bright yellow? I only remember there being one terribly bright yellow car last year, but my brain's a little fuzzy sometimes.
There was only one
Okay.
terribly bright yellow car last year, but they got money this year, so that's where the 99 cars come out of, and it'll be bright red.
Okay, so we only got the one flying banana. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
And that's an Orica chassis, and
Yep. Both Orcas, team that showed great promise last year for a team that did again stepped up from PC
mhm.
and got their shit together very quickly.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
kind of started off mediocre last year, and they really came on towards the end of the year, and they were threatening to win once or
Yeah,
twice.
yeah. There was actually several races in a row where between them and PR1, you know, they were bringing it to the factory teams,
Hmm.
which is very impressive for their first season in prototypes. So if they can only build on that, they'll be, you know, they should have a chance of winning. And I expect the 85 car to lead. I don't expect the 99 car to lead. It's definitely the money car, which, you know, I'm
Oh yeah,
trying to be too insulting on them. They're not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but in this field, not bad is mid pack.
indeed. And there's always gonna be, unless you're like a super good organization, there's gonna be a number one car and a number two car, and that's kind of just how it
Yeah,
goes.
you'd expect nothing less from these guys. Is that, you know, last season they ran one car and ran it very well. This season they're expanding two, so we will have to see what impact that has on them.
Hmm.
Yes, the second car and the general expansion is a sign that the team has gotten money, but while money is speed, it's not everything. So we'll see how they can adapt to being a two-car team. But yeah, if they pull it together, this is definitely a team that in the next few seasons, looking long term, is going to be a front runner team. If they can if they can hold on to these quality drivers, you know, this car pull themselves together, it'll be a team that will win races over the next few years.
Indeed. And now with that number 85 JDC car, we're into the top tier. Next on that list would be the ESM Nissans, Orica chassis with a Nissan GTR GT3 engine in it. Um, those ESM Patron cars had a rocky start to last year, but man, did they come on strong late in the season.
Yeah, it's it seems to be forgotten. Like the off season, it's long, but it's not the longest. But people seem to have amnesia with the end of last season when they come to this team, because this is a team that won Petit Le Mans,
Indeed.
and people seem to be forgetting about that. I know they're two very different races, and you know some drivers have come and gone since then. They don't have Brendan Harley, who won Petit with them,
Mm-hmm.
but they do have Durrani back in the 22 car. That's always worth highlighting when he's in the car.
And it's just, they're a good squad. They're a professional squad. Their shit's together. They're a definite threat.
Yeah,
Um, I
yeah,
don't have
car
much else to
holds up,
say, but if the car holds up, yeah,
which he should at this
we'll.
point. Should hold up. Yeah, that's the thing about this team. No one really has a lot to say about them. They're sort of unassuming team that they don't build much hype, but yet they're not massive disappointments.
Mm-hmm.
No one is expecting to be disappointments at all. But then come the race, they're suddenly in the mix, and everyone seems surprised about that.
Mm-hmm. Moving on once more, Jackie Chan DC Racing. Those guys coming over from the WEC, did they win the WEC championship last year?
They narrowly missed out on the
Narrowly missed
championship
out,
to
yeah.
Rebellion, who interestingly are not here this year.
Yes, which is also strange.
Yeah, these guys can sort of be seen as Rebellion's replacement from last year.
Mm,
You know, Rebellion was the top European team coming to Daytona, and they did a few more races as well this season. So I see JCDC as the Rebellion of this season, and they've come with 2 cars, and they've come with two Orcas again, which, as we keep mentioning, is the LMP2 car to have, and they've just shown up with a driver lineup that's just you can't fault it. Where is the weak guy in this lineup? You got the 37. You got Robin Friends, Juncadella, Rosenquist, Stroll, one of the F1 drivers in this field,
see?
and
What's the other car?
on the list? The other cars got Alex Brundle, Antonio Felix Acosta, Fernand Hatzberg, who nearly won the Macau GP this year.
Oh, that was spectacular.
Yeah, so hopefully he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
This year,
The wall's a lot further away here, but at least at start finish. If he screws it up, it'll be somewhere else. And Ho Ping Tung is the last driver in that car. Beautiful cars too. Those they have a quite lovely livery on those Oricas.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like, so the backstory is that this organization has been run by Jota, who you may know. They've sort of disappeared name-wise from a lot of entries. They've done a lot of deals where they're not the name on the entry list, but they're the team running it. And yeah, it's one of the best prototype teams in Europe, and it shows. If you just need an example, look to Le Mans last year, where this team nearly won overall.
They damn near won, which would have just ruined everything for the FIA and ACO.
Yeah, they not only did nearly win, they nearly got a 1-2 overall at Le Mans in LMP2 cars. Like, yeah. But without a doubt, this is the one-off team that has the best chance. You know, they're definitely the outsiders coming in, and they're going to do something. Yeah. If the Cadillacs weren't so dominant, I would put these guys down for the win. And there's still a good chance that they will win, which is the beauty of this class, is that you can't really make hard predictions.
No, you can't. The other newcomer this year is Penske, although they were at Petit Le Mans. With their new Acura, they've picked up Ricky Taylor. Their driver list is absurd.
Yeah.
That's a huge threat.
Yeah, so they picked up Ricky Taylor and Dane Cameron, Taylor from WTR and Cameron from Action Express. So instantly they've 2 drivers with a lot of experience in this class, and Ricky Taylor, who is probably the best IMSA prototype driver of last season, and probably going to be the same this season. You know, he is only getting better. Like, it's hard to think that he's actually quite young.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, of course, normally the prototype thing is, you know, these guys have gone and raced everywhere else, and then they come to prototypes. Not the case with the Taylor brothers. No. But yeah, the crew here, you know, Dane Cameron, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Simon Pagenaud in the 6 car, and then Helio Castroneves, Graham Real, and then Ricky Taylor in the 7 car. Those are really good lineups, just all around good drivers.
They are stupidly good. It's like, and like on their own, you go, that's a hell of a lineup. And then you remember it's Penske running these cars.
The most professional organization you could ask for.
Yeah, and Penske building their own car, essentially, with the Acura. Which, some question marks over reliability, as you will have with any new car. That being said, if you look at its history and its heritage, ignoring the ARX04, which is a car that I hope everyone's forgotten about because that was a terrible car. Like it says something about a car when it does one race and gets instantly dropped and never sees the light of day again. So hopefully Acura have a better run at it this time, but they should. It's based on the Orca chassis, which is. Do we need to even keep saying it's the best chassis?
No, we really don't. Oh, well,
No.
We do keep saying it's the best chassis, but we haven't spoken about the last group of cars in the probably going to win this sucker field, the Dallara-based Cadillacs.
Right, but we know Dalara's here.
And that's going to be the question with the Penske Acura. You know it's going to be good. You know they've got all the talent and organization in the world behind it. Are they faster than the Caddy? Probably not.
Initially, no.
Not at Daytona, and that's what we're talking about.
So going briefly back to the sort of pre-qualifying that we had at the Roar, where some people actually tried. The Acuras were the best of the rest, which is promising for a new car. The thing is, though, they were only the best of the rest. And the best are quite clearly the Cadillac's cars. Even with the nerfing that IMSA gave him between now and the Roar there, surely it will be a Cadillac podium. But then again, it is a 24-hour race.
It's a 24-hour race, yeah. And you also have to question how much sandbagging has Penske done, because he certainly has engaged in that before. So
yeah,
we really don't know. Things looked relatively up and up in some of the classes. We don't know about prototype.
No, because Penske. If any team is going to sandbag with a new unproven car, it's going to be Penske. They're the sort of team that can afford to do that crap. And it would be very Penske-like thing to do, because look, they don't act with a team like Penske. With how much money they can throw into this program, they don't even need to show their face in any public test, because they'll show up at a public test, do whatever IMSA want them to do. Then they'll go back to their own private test and they'll set lap records or something stupid like that. That's just the Penske way. So we won't see anything from Penske until halfway through the race, to be honest.
All right, so I think we need to get into the caddies here, and then we are a little short on time left. So Cadillac, Spirit of Daytona is back with GM, and they're going to be kind of the dark horse of the caddies. Decent lineup in that car, if I recall correctly. Although I'm not sure about that guy named Cheever.
Yeah, he saw him out of nowhere.
Matt McMurdy, Tristan Vaudier, that's a decent crew. But they're getting used to that car. I don't know. They've always been good at Daytona.
They've always been good at Daytona, and they did. And you say about getting used to that car. Let's remember this team last season. They started off the Riley, which was an absolute shit show, as we've said before. But then, in an effort to literally save the team, they bought a Ligier and ran it to the end of the season.
And did well.
Yes. Didn't they win the first race? They got the Ligier.
I believe they did,
the Ligier and instantly won at Laguna Seca.
There was some shenanigans in that race, if I recall correctly. But they won it.
Yeah, they won it and were competitive for the rest of the season, which is what has saved this team and kept it afloat.
And they went under this team. They had tremendous adversity last year. Like Hurricane Irma hit their shop, and their shop flooded, and they were still out there able to compete.
Yeah, and that more or less coincided with them getting the new car as well. Like that was a rough couple of months for that team, but yet they've held it together on track. So. So they've a new car, they've all that dealt with, so yeah, you cannot count this team out because even though they had Riley last year and the first half of the season last year was abysmal, they nearly did win Daytona
He did.
because of the rain.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
sort of it was a fluke that the Riley was so good in the wet that as long as it rained, they were competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But car aside, you have to be a good team to do that sort of thing, and they're still a good team. So last season, the second half of last season with the Ligier is really representative of this team and what they can do, and what you would expect them to continue on with.
Mm-hmm. And certainly kind of just a favorite team to watch. I really do hope they do well, and I hope that
Yeah, you can't hate this team.
no.
It's a good team and a good people.
All right, we're now looping the recording, the replay.
Professionalism.
Hey, I figured
You won't
that was
notice
long
this in the
enough.
audio version.
But we've got two big teams left, and then a bunch of notes on that. Prototypes as a whole. We haven't mentioned
Actually,
someone yet.
We missed another team. We'll get to them.
Yeah. Of the two remaining catalog squads we haven't mentioned or we haven't talked about yet, we've got Wayne Taylor Racing, obviously, and Action Express. Taylor losing Ricky is going to be a problem for them, but I don't know if it's going to be a season-ending kind of problem. Like, is it going to take out a contention? I don't think so.
No, over the season, this team should be in it, but they won't have the domination that they had last season.
But you cannot sneeze, at their layout lineup for Daytona. Anyways, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Jordan Taylor, and Ringer Van de Zand. That's pretty good. That's an excellent squad, and that's an excellent team. Probably the closest thing to a GM factory team in that class.
Yeah, the only thing about it is that it seems like a thing that may take a few races to fully gel.
Mm-hmm.
They've two new drivers. Hunter-Reay obviously has a one-off, though he has driven for the team before.
Yes, he has, I believe.
Yeah, but again, it's always a tricky thing with Daytona with the amount of one-off drivers we get coming. It's hard to say, who will get it and who won't. But Hunter-Reay, he should pick it up pretty quick. And Van der Zand over the season, he'll definitely get there. And he's not a slow driver at all. He's quite good. He won at Laguna Seca with Spirit Daytona, as you mentioned, and was definitely their star driver, which is probably going to hurt them, but it will be a WTR's gain.
But speaking of gain, certainly the squad that has picked up from the situation is going to be Action Express. They're a very good organization. They've got the fast car, and now their primary contender is Weekend, and you would expect them to capitalize off that. Their driver lineups are pretty darn good. The 31 cars got Mike Conway, Eric Curran, Stuart Middleton, and Felipe Nasr.
Who's doing the full season, I believe.
It's excellent for him. It'll be fun to actually get to see a Formula One guy who didn't have very good equipment comparatively come and run in really high quality equipment all year, and I hope the best for him. I want to see how that's going to progress. And then
his whole F1 career has been was tainted by his equipment, as as often happens with these sort of drivers that come in, only get a season or two in crap cars, and people think that's all they have.
They never get to show who they are because they never have the equipment to do it. It's very the top of the ladder in racing, and racing as a meritocracy is very unfair. Although the level to which it's a meritocracy is debatable when we're talking about pay drivers so often. I think that kind of taints F1 more
which is
than
often
other.
an accusation that's thrown at NASA, and yes, he's got money, but
Mm-hmm.
he's got talent. Like at the Roar, he set the unofficial lap record for Daytona.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
anymore,
that,
all of these guys have backing from somewhere. So it's
oh
never,
yes, yeah,
once you've been successful enough to kind of transcend that, people forget about it. But
yeah.
all of these guys
So
got paid
hopefully
for.
this is the season where he throws it off
Indeed.
because he's properly fast. And in general, this team has. It looks like they've picked themselves up. They know, like this is a team that would consistently win IMSA championships. So to have a
Mm-hmm.
season like they had last season is just not acceptable.
Yeah, it
And
was kind of
they've
an
known
aberration. They had so much bad luck. I mean, the number 5 car probably should have won last year. I don't think what happened was really unfair. I think it was just, one of them racing deals. But
right, but
they
they
should have
never
had a
came
better year.
back after Daytona.
They did not. No.
They can make as much excuses as they want and point the finger
Mhm.
at Ricky Taylor and whatnot, but that was one race. Season
Yeah.
isn't one race, and their season was
Their season
awful
was
by
not
their
good.
standards. By their standards, it was terrible.
But their standards are very lofty indeed.
Exactly, and this season, I'm expecting them to come back, and we should see sort of the classic Action Express.
And we didn't mention it. The number 5 car, that's Felipe Albuquerque. Oh man, I butchered that. Let me try that again. Felipe Albuquerque, Joao Barbosa, and Christian Fittipaldi in that car, and that's a pretty obvious choice to win the deal. Both the race and the season, but there's so much talent you can't call it.
Yeah, it in general prototype, like who is going to win this? Like it's so competitive, and with unknowns around Mazda and Penske and some of the new teams and the one-off teams coming in, it's just how can you pick a winner from this list?
So we've managed to go like an hour without mentioning a certain name, and I think it's probably time.
We're kind of overdue.
Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, the second current F1 driver in this field. Which you kind of feel sorry for Lance Stroll because no one gives a fuck about him now.
It's kind of a shame. He had a decent season last year. He kind of sucked like at the start, and then he kind of got okay.
Yeah, and he has actually run Daytona before and did all right. He may have been in the wall twice, but
that's kind of normal for Daytona.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alonso is running with United Autosports, I believe, unless I've made a horrible mistake.
No, they're United Autosports, who interestingly are coming over with 2 cars for Daytona at least. Possibility of doing Sebring, maybe. They have the cars over here, so why not?
Why not? Yeah.
But definitely Daytona 2 cars, which is very interesting from this team. They're a team that you probably wouldn't know too much if you don't closely follow the European scene, specifically the likes of the European Le Mans series, where they've consistently won races and championships in LMP2 and LMP3, but they've never really stepped up to the international stage, aside from a few one-off races in the WEC. They're consistently at Le Mans, where they haven't really shined at Le Mans. They've had some decent races, but nothing outstanding. Of course, the thing about Le Mans and the European scene is that LMP2 is a pro-am class, so it's definitely dependent on your AM drivers. Whereas here, they've like Jackie Chan, they have the freedom to bring in some pro drivers, and well, they kind of have done that, haven't they?
Indeed. So they're in Ligier chassis, which is probably going to be their big detriment.
Yeah.
But the 23 car, that's Alonso, as we've mentioned, Phil Hansen, and Lando Norris. He's a McLaren reserve driver, correct? Yeah. And
he's their baby.
He's also multiple time Japanese Super Formula champion, I believe. I want to say, I might be mixing things up. I know he's very successful over there for him. Obviously, he's their guy.
Super Formula.
I
I
want
don't
to
think
say
he
he
won.
did. I'm pretty sure he did. I might be wrong.
Well,
Moving on.
regardless. Okay,
And
relevance. He did win the European F3
he did,
Championship last
yes.
year, so we got that, which is
Um,
effectively the World Championship of F3,
mhm.
and he instantly jumped into that and won races. Really young as well as Phil Hansen. It's kind of funny with this driver lineup that you got two really young guys in Hansen and Norris, and then you got Alonso, who's been rumored to retire for about 5 years.
Yeah. And then the other car, which everyone's going to forget about, and it's not fair. It's got Hugo de Sadalier. I don't recognize that name. I'll be perfectly honest, but I do recognize Paul di Resta and Bruno Senna, along with
Yeah.
William Owen. There's a lot of driver talent there. It's hard to believe that they will not be successful, but
But
Ligier
I
is
don't.
not Oricus.
Ligiers are not orcas, but Ligiers aren't terrible either. A good
Indeed.
team can still win with Ligiers, and they have done in Europe, where
Mm-hmm.
it's actually isn't anywhere near as nice as it is over here. Over here, IMSA can sort of try and BOP. They don't mess with the LMP2 cars that much. They sort of leave them as they are. And so they sort
Mm-hmm.
of say, we're not dealing with that. The ACO can try and fix that situation.
Yeah.
Which, if you weren't following, the ACO last year didn't really fix that situation at all. But the thing is that United have won with these cars.
Right.
So, yes, the car is going to hurt them. It's not going to be the best car. But if they get it right, it should still be competitive.
Did
And this is
did anybody
this is
run a Ligier last year at Daytona? I don't recall.
I think some did. PR1 ran a full
PR1.
season with Ligier.
Okay.
Yeah, and they got that good in IMSA
Okay.
later in the season, definitely. So, car wise, they shouldn't be hurt. But what I think is going to hurt them more is just general experience.
Mm.
This is their first Daytona. This is their first time coming to America to race. Like, I think it's the first time Landon Norris has actually been in the United States, which sort of says something. And
It's from an engineering standpoint, you got to wonder about setup, because running Daytona is going to be different than anything else you do. So you gotta worry about, are those guys going to be able to get that Ligier working on the banking as well as it works on the infield? That's kind of why I was asking if anybody ran a Ligier last year, because there might be a little bit of information exchange there. I don't know. But,
I imagine there will be somewhat. Onrook, the company behind the Ligiers, are quite involved with ESM, with their Nissan program.
Right.
So they have quite an interest in this race. Now, I don't know how much can be transferred between the DPI and the Ligier. There is obviously some bodywork differences, but inherently they're still the same base car. And also you've PR1, so depending on how much factory support they have, I imagine United, even without Onrook giving a shit about IMSA before this season, when they bring Alonso to the show, you can imagine that Onrook would sort of step their game up and make sure that the cars run well and that they get a setup and they get something running well. Interestingly, from the testing that they've been doing, they seem to be making progress. They haven't really shown outright pace at the front of the field, which is, any other year it'd be what it is, but this year you have to be honest straight away.
Absolutely.
But that's not to say they couldn't make progress and that they won't make progress. They'll probably be one of those teams that will rapidly improve as we go on. But they've only one day of practice and qualifying before it's the race and it's the real deal. So
it's a very trial by fire thing that's going on if you're a new team in IMSA.
I imagine you could apply the same argument to JCDC and any of the other new teams, but I don't know. Reason that they sort of exclude Jackie Chan and Joe Chan from that is that it's Jota, and
Mhm.
they have a habit of pulling off the impossible when it comes to prototype racing, which is why I think they're going to be definitely one of the teams for the win. And probably, if I can't say they're going to win overall, they're definitely going to have the best non-Cadillacs. Will be the Jota cars.
That seems reasonable. Um. So yeah, just in general, the level of talent spread across the field, because we have a bunch of IndyCar drivers throughout the field, as
we
well
haven't
as
really been highlighting as well as we should have.
yeah,
Has been going through a sort of
we've got
accepted now.
we've got Graham Rahal, we've got Ryan Hunter-Ray. Who else do we got?
You could sort of count Helio Castroneves. He's just recently left.
Castroneves, Pagenaud, the champion, Mike Conway. It's a good field. It's a really good field.
Dealing with the prototypes there. Let's not forget Ganassi, Bray, and Sebastian Bourdais. It's got this Dixon in for their GT program.
And
there's probably a few more scattered throughout the field, and no spot Saavedra highlighted him earlier out there somewhere. But yeah,
and yeah, just the number of open wheel drivers, which always seem to kind of bring more interest than dedicated sports car guys. And of course, Alonso and Lance Stroll being here.
Or Alonso.
Mostly Alonso.
And which unfortunately meant everyone's forgotten about Felipe Nasr running the whole season. RIP.
Well, F1 fans are like that.
Yeah,
I had to get my dig in.
Yeah, they're terrible people. They know that. As well as Bourdais, he was an F1 driver at one point.
Indeed.
He's still here.
The amount of hype for this race is bigger than I've seen ever. The amount of international talent here is bigger, and by international I mean internationally recognized, not international drivers, because IMSA has been a very global series driver-wise for a long time before it was IMSA.
Yeah, and you could definitely say, on one hand, IMSA has success with their drive to get more international teams and drivers and whatnot into the entry list for Daytona and Sebring. We'll see how successful they are with Sebring. So they've obviously had great success in the prototypes. You know, we're talking about a 2-time world champion in the field.
Yeah.
The only thing is where I feel they've kind of let down is that they also pushed hard for a lot of international GT3 teams to come in.
Right.
And that, I think, has been kind of a disappointment.
A little bit, yeah. We could definitely do with a bigger GT field, I think. It's kind of awkward to see the prototypes stacked so heavily and relatively few GTD to go with it. We've run through the recording again.
We need to prepare more recordings next time.
I clearly did not record enough here.
Start from the very beginning at least. Give us more time. But that's sort of the only disappointment with the hype with this race, that there's been so much hype has been overlooked, is sort of the GTD field. It's what's there is generally quite good, but I don't know. It's just you're not really that excited for it. But I don't know if that's just a case that we've so much hype in the other classes that people sort of take the GTD field for granted or something.
Indeed. GTD is also, it's GT3 racing. People, it's the global standard for GT racing right now. But it's everywhere. It's a mass consumption product. If you enjoy sports car racing, there's always a GT3 race on somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same prestige as the GTEs or the prototypes. And that's not necessarily fair, because they generally have really good races. But...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, it will not be a surprise that we're in the 20th hour of this race, and you have 8 cars on the lead lap in
Mm-hmm.
GT. That's just going to happen. And it's not going to be 8 cars, but there's going to be at least 5 different manufacturers or something stupid like that. And that, the top 8 could be 8 different cars from 8 different teams. That's just GT3 racing. Like the racing is going to be good, no matter what. You know, we don't have like the likes of Shane Van Gisbergen showing up
No.
in GTD or things like that, or even like, we've Land Racing and Magnus coming for Audi, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't have like the likes of WRT or something like that.
That would be nice.
We don't have one of the factory backed BMW teams coming from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
We do have Mante coming over with Porsche, which is nice. Well, we've only one Ferrari though.
Yeah, it's there are some cars missing from the GT3 class or the GTD class that globally significant. Obviously, McLaren does not race GT3 in the US. In IMSA, anyways, they do PWC. That's no.
No. You're correct.
Yeah.
I was saying there's no Nissans either.
No Nissans, yeah. That's kind of unfortunate. It'd be nice to see those guys there, especially the McLarens, because they are a significant car. Just on a personal note, I would love to see the Bentleys at Daytona, but I don't think that'll ever happen.
Not factory Bentleys anyway. Well, factory teams aren't really allowed, which is sort of the awkward thing.
Right.
And probably what hurts so much in this class is, not only do they have restrictions on Pro-Am lineups,
right.
That's one thing, but IMSA are pretty strict on not allowing factory teams even to get one-off entries in here, which...
Well, it's kind of funky because, honestly, 3GT and Michael Shank last year were factory team entries. And they're doing that...
the exception.
They're doing that. They did that as an exception to get those guys in and get those cars set up and started. But, if you loosen that up maybe a little bit, maybe you see something better. The argument for me against restricting the teams like that is it's GT3 cars. They are very well balanced in terms of BOP. You don't necessarily have to have an awesome factory team to win. Certainly, you look at the Corvette in GT Masters. They won the championship, and they don't get a ton of support from GM. That's all Callaway. And also, on that note, boy, it'd be nice to see those guys here too.
Yeah,
but
we get them over. They're like fit perfectly. They have GM representation in each class.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit disappointing, though, isn't it? Yeah, but the only thing is that in the general GT3 scene in North America is it's kind of a mess, but
it's very fragmented.
Yeah, it's not really something that's translated to on track. On track, it's as good as anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You have your quality teams, you have your maybe less than quality teams, but it all works out and it all goes well between IMSA and the Rally World Challenge. The only thing is that you said they don't need a factory-backed team to win. Unfortunately, with the way it's gone in the last few seasons in North America, it's becoming increasingly difficult to pull off as a genuine privateer team.
True. But that's
the
also...
money in factory backing is making arguably too much of a difference in modern-day GT3 racing.
Okay.
And
yeah.
Fuck, we could be here for nearly 3 hours talking about how messed up the costs have gotten in GT racing.
Yeah, and that's something I was actually thinking about. We've got Core Autosport moving from GTD to prototype. That's something to think about. Is it actually more expensive to run prototype? It may not be anymore.
Yeah. Not if you're running a Ferrari.
Yeah.
So they're running a Ligier. Those LP2 cars are cost capped at around, I think, 600 to 700,000 euro, maybe even less, probably even less than that. Whereas
So,
a new Ferrari GT3 car will cost you nearly €1 million, which is ludicrous. It's
yeah, that makes it a pretty obvious choice what you should be
yeah,
doing.
yeah. I know that's Ferrari, and the
Yeah.
cost will vary throughout the GT3 manufacturers, which again is something that really should be stepped on in a global effort to go. Come on, guys, be serious.
Yeah.
We need a cost cap in GT3. That being said, cost cap in GT4 hasn't stopped people abusing that, but
Oh, absolutely not.
we see the new Mercedes, which will be making its debut in the sport race for Daytona, which is definitely being sold below costs,
Oh yeah.
and that is
Yeah,
some bullshit.
that whole thing is so weird to me. Like that, the GT4 actually uses the road car engine, right? The
Yeah.
turbo. But like both of those, the GT3 spec and the GT4, like they're super nerfed from what the road car engine is capable of.
Yeah, and the road car sells for more than the
Yeah,
GT4 cost cap. So
yeah.
and that's before you even add any of the racing modifications that you'll need
Mhm.
for it to be even more competitive than it probably already was. So yeah, that's GT4 and that's the Conti series, and this is the Conti series
We're not
podcast.
talking about that, which is probably good because I've got some disappointment with that whole deal. So, um, yeah. So, um, I know predictions in prototype are a bit of a crapshoot, but I'm gonna go throw it out there. I think the number 5 Action Express car is gonna get what they didn't get last year. That's just my wild ass guess. What do you think?
Oh, jeez. And
Putting
it
you
is
on the
just
spot
a
here.
complete crapshoot, as we said. Too many cars can win this race. I'm probably going to go with the 7 Penske. Castroneves, Ray Hall, and Taylor.
That would be a good story. I think it's definitely well within the realm of possibility. So that's a good go.
Yeah, as long as that car holds out, which it should. Whether it'll have the pace or the Cadillacs will pull
Right.
something out of the bag, who knows? But it's Penske. You can't bet against Penske.
And any other? I know we've already kind of delved into other thoughts. But are there any other thoughts you want to bring up for the end of this deal?
One thing we haven't mentioned
Hmm.
is that this will be the final 24 hours of Daytona with Continental tires.
Continental is gone. Good riddance, I believe, is what she said. Those
Yep.
their sports car tires were, what were they, Hoosiers or something that they were rebranding?
I don't know where they got
They
them.
weren't actually Continental, I don't think.
I hope not, for their own sake.
No. Well, they didn't roll over all the time, so it couldn't have been Connie's. And then next year we'll see the normal grab bag of mostly Michelin's and maybe some Dunlops, I would assume.
No, IMSA have got a deal
Was it?
where
It's
GTD and Prototype will be spec tires.
spec
Well, Michelin
tires.
spec tires.
Okay. All
Well, at
the
least it's actually a decent spec
yeah,
tire.
and all the teams in GTE anyways use the Michelin's already.
Yeah,
So
that sort of says something.
yeah,
Yeah, you don't really need to say more when you've you've spec tire classes and an open tire class, and no one in the open tire class even has anything to do with the official tires. So yeah. So hopefully that means we'll actually see speeds increase from next season in general,
and
because it's not a secret that the Continentals are holding the classes back that they're in deliberately in GTD. To be fair,
right.
that's kind of intentional, but it'd be nice to see the prototypes freed up from next season. Hopefully, anyway, if they do it right.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
some ultimate nerdiness to finish on.
It's pretty damn nerdy. I don't really have any other big notes. Other to say, I'm really excited. Uh, I think it's going to be a good show. It usually is a good show. Um,
As a spectacle 24-hour race, it is generally one of, I find, the more watchable and entertaining races of the year. It's like, for one, this is the easiest race for me personally watching to stay up for the whole thing. I don't know if
Right.
that's just a time zone thing or whatever, but you always just end up watching and then, oh look, it's like 7 a.m. and you're still awake. And screw it, we're going to continue this to the end. Whereas the likes of Le Mans and Nürburgring are like efforts of endurance to follow. Yeah.
I at least find Daytona easier, 24 hours of Daytona easier to try to get through than 12 hours of Sebring.
I think the drivers and teams would agree with you on
Yeah.
that one.
Really globally, the hype behind this, it really needs to be a good show because people are going to watch. So hopefully the viewership's really high, and you're never going to maintain that. Like, as soon as Alonso goes back to Europe, you're going to lose half of those people, but
hopefully we can grab some of them. Yeah.
Sports car racing is tremendous. It doesn't get enough attention in the US market. It doesn't get enough attention in the European market, I don't think.
Especially the likes of what IMSA are doing. We can say, oh, it's small series and play that card I want. To be fair, IMSA is, in sports car circles, it is, IMSA is IMSA. It's well known for what it is. But getting exposure outside of the usual sports car circles will be just great for the series. And hopefully it's something that can be sustained. Which, going back to Alonso, I hope that team has a good run. Because
it'd be really
suck
good
if that car blows up after 2 hours.
Yeah.
There goes your viewers. It's in IMSA's interest to make sure that car is competitive in the finishes. Which, while the last few years I've really had nothing but praise for IMSA's balancing, they have been known to do shady shit in the past. So
that is true.
We don't see any of that.
And of course, anytime you have, BOP adjustments in a series, somebody's going to be upset. Somebody's going to say this wasn't fair. That's just the nature of it, whether it's true or not.
Yeah, that's just the general scourge of sports car racing in the modern era. But it does give us a good race, and hopefully we'll have a good race. And less bitching, more good racing, and hey, whatever.
But yeah, I think that about wraps it up. We've gone on for about an hour and a half now, so it's pretty solid.
Comprehensive.
I want to thank you for showing up and putting together the much better notes than mine, and offering a more informed opinion. Hopefully you enjoyed doing this.
I did. Because
and
in reality, I probably would have done something like this on my own, and this is far more entertaining.
Yeah, there we go. And it's going to be cool. You weren't going to Daytona, were you?
Yeah, I leave on Tuesday.
He's going to Daytona. He's going to see how wrong we are in person.
Yeah, I'm going to see the cars that I say are going to win blow up in my face. Literally in my face.
Oh, it's going to be... I envy you. Like, that's the only reason I could think of that I would want to go to Florida.
I've been to Florida twice. It is the only reason you want to go to Florida.
So yeah, no.
That and rocket launches, but they fucked me over before. No, rocket launches are cool. Don't say anything against it.
It's not a safe bet to make travel on, though.
Oh yeah, we got burned before.
Yeah. So okay, yeah, I think that's pretty good. I'm excited. I can't wait. I know I'm gonna have every time we do the endurance race thing. I try and stay up for the whole thing. I might make it. I might not. But I'm always sick afterwards because I try too hard. But I had fun going over this, and hopefully everyone that's watched this right now as I'm streaming it enjoys it, and anybody who actually watches it on YouTube will enjoy it. Yeah. So that's it for the recording. What's that?
Hopefully they did actually enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows when we'll do something like this again? Sebring?
Possibly. We'll see. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's it for the recording. Thanks everybody in the Twitch chat. I am going to point you, of course, if you're following me, you're here, you are also following everyone involved. Yames, Cone Dodger, Gem Knight, Servatas, Sharky did not fix his pedals, so he's not running.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Sharky.
Fix your pedals, Shark. They're running iRacing 24. If you're in my chat, get your ass over there. Either to Cone or Yames. I don't know who's driving right now.
Cone's currently in.
Cone's in the car, okay.
He's been going for about half an hour.
Okay. Yeah, I saw it on the followed. But, yeah, head on over there and watch our guys contend the iRacing 24 in the dearly departed Corvette DPI. Or DP, rather.
Before they got the eye.
Before they got the I. There is no international in the DP. Yeah, so that'll wrap it up. Thanks for coming by, and we'll see you for our next, probably more normal gaming-y stream. Thanks, NCW. Okay, bye.